Maintains 40th rank at the International Report of E-Readiness 2014. The Ministry of Civil Service continues the procedures of written exams and personal interviews for job seekers at the governorate of Al-Baraymi. And all 15 crew members involved in navigating the sunken South Korean ferry are under arrest. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques in Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia on the death of Her Royal Highness Princess Jahra bin Faisal bin Abdulaziz. His Majesty the Sultan sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Furi Nasangaba of Togo on his country's National Day. His Majesty also sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Dr. Jacob Zuma of South Africa on his country's National Day. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Dr. Ernst Bai Koroma of Sierra Leone on his country's independence anniversary. The Sultanate maintained 40th rank at the International Report of E-Readiness 2014, which is issued by Global Economic Forum. The report reveals that the Sultanate continued in providing excellent performance in developing e-services at governmental sectors, clarified that it came at rank 12th at world level on government spending at advanced technologies, while it took rank 13 at the importance of information technologies and communications within the strategies and government vision, which was pointed to Sultanate's development and enhanced its competing information technologies and communication sector, where it invested a number of governmental institutions concerned information technologies at a number of fields such as infrastructure. In its fifth station, the Ministry of Civil Service conducted writing tests and personal interviews for vacancies announced for the governorate of Baraymi as part of its plan to employ 2,095 male and female citizens in various governorates of the Sultanate. Around 340 citizens competed in a transparent way for 62 vacancies in the governorate of Baraymi. A centre was opened for these procedures in the governorate to enable citizens there to compete to occupy these vacancies without the need to go to the ministry in the governorate of Muscat. A number of citizens rescued a drowning person at Wadi Deka Dam stream in the Wilaya of Koryat, where they took him to the hospital, and his health condition is reported to be stable. The account of the Public Authority for Civil Services and Ambulance clarified a picture of youth swam at the dam basin despite repeated warnings and previous drowning accidents. Still to come in our news bulletin. At least 6 people are injured after a building collapsed in Vienna. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. South Korean authorities detained another 4 crew members today from the ferry that sank and left more than 300 people dead or missing. All 15 of those involved in navigating the vessel are now in custody. 2 helmsmen and 2 members of the steering crew were taken in on preliminary arrest warrants issued late on Friday. 11 other crew members, including the captain, had already been formally arrested. All are accused of negligence and of failing to help passengers in need when the Seoul ferry sank on April 16. The captain initially told passengers to stay in their rooms and took half an hour to issue an evacuation order, by which time the ship was for stilting so much people couldn't get out. A court hearing is being held to determine whether formal arrest warrants will be issued against the 4 crew members arrested today. As South Africa celebrates 20 years of democracy, one born-free explains her hopes for the future and the challenges she still faces despite the end of apartheid. Here is a report.
Charlotte Mona was born on the 27th of April 1994, the day of South Africa's first democratic elections. As a born-free, Charlotte escaped life under apartheid, which kept blacks poor and uneducated. She grew up in a different South Africa, full of opportunity and potential.
I just see myself driving a luxury car, having a big house, a family, living a good life.
These were the scenes 20 years ago which made Charlotte's dreams possible. Millions of South Africans queued to vote in the country's first non-racial elections. Nelson Mandela was elected the country's first black president, ushering in a period of immense hope for the new rainbow nation. Those hopes couldn't all be fulfilled. Today, almost 30% of blacks are unemployed, compared to just 7% of whites, who earn on average 6 times as much as their black counterparts. But historians say the past 2 decades have seen profound and positive change.
In the 1980s, it looked doomed. It looked as though we were heading towards a civil war, a very bloody civil war. It's indescribably different. We'd pick up a newspaper with black blotches all over it because it was censored.
But despite the transformation, Charlotte's dreams haven't yet come true. She failed her first year at university and is staying with relatives while she looks for a job. Her parents had encouraged her ambitions, but they died while she was still growing up.
They made me feel like anything is possible. But when I started to turn 18 years and above, I started to see that life is tough. I managed to get a student loan and failed. That was the other bad thing.
Charlotte's story is mirrored across South Africa, a country where 2/3 of young people can't find work. As the African nation celebrates 20 years of democracy, many born-frees are calling for real freedom, not just the right to vote, but a better life too.
Most well known for its detention facility, Guantanamo Bay in Cuba is a fully functioning U.S. military base, complete with all the amenities that entails for the families who live there. More details in the following report.
The only McDonald's in Cuba is one of the many things that makes Guantanamo Bay a surreal home from home for the US troops stationed here. Ronald McDonald has stood just a couple of miles from one of the world's last bastions of communism since 1986. It's the army-run detention facility that has brought Guantanamo global notoriety, housing those captured in the US war on terror since 2002. But the adjoining naval base has been here for much longer, rented from Cuba since 1903 for $4,000 a month, although the Cubans claim they never cash the check. The base supports US ships in the Caribbean and monitors illegal immigration. Servicemen and some of their families have all the usual facilities of an American base. There's a church, an outdoor cinema, even an Irish pub and a gift shop which sells Gitmo t-shirts. Many of those based here have little contact with the detention camps.
To tell you the truth, I don't really think about it all that much. I focus on my job that's here at hand, and I don't have security credentials to go, so that's kind of where we fall on that. We'll go down our little Hall of Fame here.
Stephen is an engineer on Radio Gitmo, which broadcasts music and news for those on base. The workers here are among the few soldiers whose faces we're allowed to show. As staff at the radio station, their job puts them more in the public eye than most servicemen here.
Hey, you want to talk a little bit about the Day at the Bay that's going down at Ferry Landing Beach on Saturday, April 26th?
Photos on the base's website give some idea of the sports and social events that news cameras aren't allowed to film. In the shadow of one of the world's most notorious prisons, the atmosphere is family-friendly.
It's kind of like microcosm of everything good in America as far as, you know, wholesome family environments and stuff like that. It's kind of, you know, you really don't worry about crime very much. It's a smaller community. Everybody knows everybody else's kid. You know, everybody knows everybody else, period.
Despite this small-town American feel, the elephant in the room is never far away. Behind these fences are some of the 154 detainees who've been held here without charge or trial for over 12 years.
Austrian police said at least 6 people were injured after a building in Vienna partially collapsed following a reported explosion today. 5 other people are being treated for minor injuries. Other people may still be trapped inside residential building whose top-tier floors collapsed. Amateur footage filmed by a man who lives in the neighborhood showed a thick dust cloud enveloping the street moments after the collapse. Now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the Sultanate. Winds will be southwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate maintains 40th rank at the International Report of Free Readiness 2014. The Ministry of Civil Service continues the procedures of written exams and person interviews for job seekers at the Governorate of Al-Baraymi. And all 15 crew members involved in navigating the sunken South Korean ferry are under arrest. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, thank you for watching and good night.